welcome to the Fermented Homestead. If you're new here, my name is Anna, and on this channel I'm sharing our journey of learning how to turn our home into a homestead. Welcome to the third to the last project of the Every Bit Counts Challenge. Today we're going outside to get some pickles to get some cucumbers to preserve pickles. I figured I'd show you around the garden. We've had a ton of growth since the last garden tour, and I want to show you something amazing that my husband did. So you can see here, I've been harvesting tomatoes almost every single day, and we have a ton of tomatoes on the vine. Look, there's one in there. That one's turning. And these things are just getting super tall. This guy over here, I sprayed this for squash bugs and it seemed to work. I just sprayed it with like a dish soap solution and it seemed to work for the most part. No, except for those. But and then over here, ooh, let's get some jalapeños. Oh, look at that little devil bug. Okay. Harvest some jalapeños so we can put them in our pickles. Hard to tell if this one did. It looks like it got pollinated, but then part of it looks like it didn't. Hard to know. And this guy's definitely got some squash bugs. Ooh, and some ants. Oh, I missed one. I got a big old cucumber. How did this thing produce that? It's almost dead. Climb. Climb, you cucumber. So our apple tree is also really starting to produce. So far it's just been enough to kind of munch on, but we might get some preservation stuff out of it. We'll see. And then over here, tomatoes are doing great. I don't know if you can see just how many tomatoes are on here, but there are a lot. They're just not quite ripe yet. Same thing over here. Oh, we gotta trellis that guy up. So we have a cat amongst the cabbages that are doing pretty well. This is why I'm here, for the cucumbers. I know there's a bunch of cucumbers over here. I just saw it earlier today. Let's see if we can spot any more. Look at these guys. Be it alphas. Beautiful. This is the biggest cucumber harvest I've ever had. Alright, we're starting to get some purple royalty, just a couple, but it's better than what we had. Soybeans are taking off. These guys are really doing great. Garbanzo beans, not so much, just getting overtaken by some weeds. These guys are starting to produce. These are all drying beans. Last area of the garden is our trellis here. And this guy's doing great. I'm just coming in here and trellising them up. You can see some female fruits in here. I'm just coming in here and trying to get them to attach to the trellis. And then the ones that I planted on the edge, I'm just making sure that they come out into the grass here. And there's definitely a pretty okay number of female fruits. Some that do seem to have been pollinated. The sunchokes, they're doing great too. They're just kind of growing away. I'm not sure what they're doing under the soil, but they look good from the top. And our melons, they're doing pretty good. There we go. That looks pollinated to me. Over here, we have our noodle beans. They're doing good. They're starting to get all noodly. The green noodle beans are a lot more difficult to spot than the red noodle beans. Those are the only two I can see. But I'm sure there's more. But the red ones are really easy to spot. See? I don't know how long to let these things grow, or how big to let these guys get before I start to harvest them. What do I do? Do you guys know? They're everywhere. We have lots of them. They're beautiful. Look at this guy. It's hard to get the scope of them when they're on the ground. What's this? Is that good or bad, friend or foe? Friend or foe? Some Kentucky Wonder. Love Kentucky Wonder pole beans. They're so good. Look at these guys. Got some. Now I need to make a stir fry. I think I have enough to make a stir fry. It's gonna be a tasty one too. It's a pretty good harvest for one day. Especially for my small little growing garden. I dropped the harvest off inside, and then I remembered that I was going to show you guys something that my husband was working on. So let's go and walk over to the new chicken coop. Yeah.
Chicken coop coming soon.
Oh, first thing I'm super stoked about is that this thing is almost gone. You remember that big, nasty, ugly blue trailer that has just been sitting here, just a giant eyesore, and it is almost gone. Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, it's already not an eyesore anymore from afar, but man, this guy does some good work. So, if you, oh my gosh, the mosquitoes are flying in my eyeballs. They're flying everywhere. I should have waited. I just told you that I would do it. Okay, so Robert has turned this, are we zoomed out? He's turned this giant shed into a chicken coop, completely. Look at this door. Isn't this the cutest thing ever? Chicken door, complete with a ladder on both sides so they can get in and out. Okay, this door was turned the other direction and it swung in, and we both realized that that was just not going to work very well for a chicken coop. So he turned this around today. So now it swings out. The reason it wouldn't work is because of the bedding in there. So There's no lighting in there yet, so I brought the super flashlight for you. First of all, this whole shed was filled with garbage. It wasn't like completely full, but it had a bunch of garbage in there. It took Robert probably a day to clean it out while I was at the expo, and then it took him another day to put on the chicken wire. So the corner over here, it was like bowed out right here. Any predator could have easily gotten in there. So he fixed that up, patched it up, and then wrapped the whole lower level in chicken wire. Then he covered the floor. This is like a vinyl, like linoleum, so that we can easily clean it. Then he laid down pine chips. But I have to tell you the coolest thing that I'm the most excited about here, in case you couldn't tell, I've been trying to avoid giving you guys shots of this because I think it's the coolest thing ever. I like shrieked when I walked in here and saw this. I wish Robert was there and he could have seen my reaction. I was just looking for him. I had no clue he wasn't in here. So, look at this thing. How cool is this roosting area, okay? Let me see if I can get you close up and see if you can see. But look at this. He went and found all of these, and it's like a work of freaking art. Look at this thing. I love it. It is like my favorite roosting area ever. Look at this thing. He seriously went so far to town, it's not even funny. I love this thing. And then it's got a window. We just gotta figure out how to get it open and keep them safe at the same time. Robert said he tried to open it with the chicken wire on, but wasn't able to. There's still ventilation. The whole top of both pitches are open, so that shouldn't be an issue as far as ventilation goes. But it would be nice to have this cool it off a little bit more. So how cool is this? I love it so much. In the next day or two, we're gonna be bringing the chickens out here. They're gonna be parked in here for about a week to get them accustomed to it. This is gonna be their new forever home. And then, while they're doing that, Robert and I are gonna work on making some kind of an enclosure for them out here so they can sort of free range, but stay out the heck out of my garden. Because it's a lot easier to fence them in than it is to fence in my whole garden. I'm gonna let the ducks go loose and roam the property because they're, according to the legend, ducks don't mess with your garden, so I'm not worried about them. But the chickens, they love the garden. So let's go inside and make some pickles. I'm ready to make this. I was thinking about canning these, but I think it's just not enough to can. I was gonna make a partial batch of the Mrs. Wages, but then I was like, well, why not just wait until next harvest and we can actually do like more than this. So I have a couple of jars here that we're ready to throw our pickles into. I'm gonna ferment it with some jalapeños. We're gonna do a super simple ferment, add some dill in there, some tea, just to give it its tannins. So let's chop these guys up. You guys have seen me ferment many times. So we're just gonna put a black tea bag in each of these at the bottom. We're gonna tear open another container. Well, actually, why don't I just show you? I'm gonna bring you guys in close and I'll show you instead of just telling you and showing you from afar. Okay, so we're putting in a black tea bag into each of these jars. This tea bag will give it the tannins that it needs to protect the cell structure to make it so that it doesn't break down, along with the salt that we're gonna add to it. But this especially is helpful with black tea. Anything with tannins is especially helpful for anything like cucumbers that can get soggy in the fermentation process. So then we're gonna take a tea bag that I don't like, and this is very old tea, and I'm not gonna drink it. So we're gonna take this thing apart here, and we're just gonna discard the tea that's in here because I don't want it. There's no reason for me to keep it. And we're gonna fill this with the spices that we do want. So since we're gonna be fermenting it with the jalapeños, I'm not gonna add any additional heat, but we're gonna add in a teaspoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of dill weed, not the seed, and then a teaspoon of garlic powder into this little pouch. So with the end here that's a little bit emptier, I'm gonna tie this off first. Tie it really good, because if that knot comes undone, you're gonna get mold. Ask me how I know that. And then we're gonna lift it up here to move the spice down to the other side. And then we'll tie this side off. And tie them together for good measure, why not? There we go. We'll do the same thing for this one over here. And we're just gonna split this in two. Okay, so now we're gonna warm up water with warm up some salt water, and it's gonna be a ratio of 2 tablespoons of salt to a quart of water. There's fancier ways you can do it, but that's how I find to be pretty successful. Okay, make sure you're leaving enough room for expansion. And we're gonna try these weights here. I got these a while back on Amazon. I haven't tried them out. So we're gonna go ahead and wash these two off. They're kind of they're an alternative to mason tops. I don't know. I need to find some that fit in these standard size like Fido jars that are a little bit wider, but for now these will work. Put one in each jar. Squish them down. Squish them. Since we're using the Fido style jars, we don't have to worry quite as much about particles floating, but I still worry. I still try and skim the top because it can be an issue. It's not perfect. It's better. You still have to be wary. And pickles are not going to ferment for very long. You're looking at a few days, almost tops. They mold really easily. They get soggy really easily. They're just finicky. If they weren't so delicious, I wouldn't bother with them. These, I want to make sure that I'm pointing out, these are not flimsy craft store brands. These are Kilner. These are kind of made for pressure. You don't want to go to like Hobby Lobby and just get any old brand of, you know, thin-walled glass. You want to make sure you're getting good stuff. Fido, Kilner, you know, the real brands that are actually intended for this sort of stuff. Even though they won't tell you they are, you want to get a good sturdy glass. There we go. These, we're going to set these things to ferment. Check on them every day to make sure we don't have a whole lot of floaters. And that's it. We have preserved our first harvest of pickles. So I hope that you guys enjoyed that little bit of a garden tour and some harvesting of our first like real sort of harvest that we got from our garden. It might not be the biggest thing in the world, but I'm pretty stoked by it. If you guys are new around here, we just moved to our 30-acre homestead in southern Missouri. So I'm just bringing you along for all the things that we're doing to turn our home into a homestead, including that garden out there that we just harvested from. That was the field in June. So you can see why I'm kind of stoked that we got a harvest off of it. And I like to bring you along for videos in the kitchen like this on how we preserve food, canning, freezing, dehydrating, and fermenting, as well as showing you ways that you can include those foods in your everyday cooking. If that sounds awesome to you, click this button right here. This is the subscribe button. This is what tells YouTube that you want to come back here. Up here is a video that Mr. Google Pants thinks that you're going to enjoy. If you got FOMO and you want to know what we did yesterday, click this button right here. And then up here is our Every Bit Counts Challenge playlist. Make sure you check that one out for all the things that we've preserved since the beginning of August. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.